Yo, yo, what is going on, my fellow wrestling fans? Welcome to a brand new week, and welcome to a brand new edition of what we like to call the Clash of the Champions, where we talk about the different personalities, storylines, and everything in between that center around this world we know and love as professional wrestling. I'm your host, the vegan who believe in conscious Kurt, aka the Professor in the flesh as always, and my co-host is...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is tag team partner Jonathan Randall, the Adventurer himself, at your guys' service. And um, man, we had one hell of a weekend this past weekend. It is our recap episode of Bad Blood that took place in Atlanta, and one hell of a show it was.
Yes, it was a show very noteworthy, and the way the show opened was with our guest host for Bad Blood, actually, before the first match. It was the women's tag team champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and also their partner from WrestleMania a few months ago, Naomi. Not a bad way to start the show.
No, not at all. I mean, whenever you have these events with special hosts, you're always going to start a show off with that. So that was a good way to start it off.
Yeah, and people were complaining a few weeks ago about them being the host. And I'm like, yo, why would you complain about seeing Bianca, Jade Cargill, and then Naomi adding on to it? Why would you ever complain about seeing them on TV?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we started off the show with them, and the way the show opened was the way we thought the show would originally end, and that was with the Hell in a Cell blow-off between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre.
Oh my God. Yeah, you were right. They were gonna, the rumor was true. You said last week that the Hell in a Cell would start off, and after watching that match, Kurt, you gotta speculate. Man, was that the right decision to start off Hell in a Cell that night? But we'll find out later on. Reason why that match went on first, but my hats off to that match. I can't get over how great that match was. I watched it twice, by the way.
Me too.
That match really, we've seen a lot of Hell in a Cell matches, you know what I mean? But I think this one in particular, this one really told a story. It really said something a lot in this match. I don't know if you had that feeling.
Yeah, I did. And CM Punk even said before the match he wanted to bring back like the essence of Hell in a Cell and
Yeah.
make it feel like the blow off to like a long blood feud, and that is exactly what was accomplished here. That one spot where Punk hit Drew McIntyre with a toolbox, and it wasn't even a gimmick toolbox, it was a real one, so you could definitely tell the results that Drew got from it were real. Motherfucker. Motherfucker.
I'll tell you what, Drew McIntyre had over 16 stitches from that.
Yeah, he bled a gusher, bro. CM Punk bled too. I remember there was one point that McIntyre threw Punk head first into the cell. But yeah, the way that Drew bled in that match, yo, he definitely was going through a lot.
You know what? I like those spots. I love in Hell in a Cell whenever like they'll you carry your opponent over your shoulder and you throw him into the cage. I love that. And yeah, that's when CM Punk started bleeding. But just like the three things that I want to define that match is the blood, the drama, and the violence in that match. That match was very violent. I think one of my favorite spots in that match is when looked like CM Punk was trying to suplex Drew McIntyre outside of the ring, but Drew suplexed CM Punk onto the table outside of the ring. I love that.
Oh, and yeah, you could definitely tell that Punk was suffering after that. It took him a couple minutes actually to get up.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, my the part where CM Punk had Drew McIntyre in the in Anaconda Vice, I'm telling you right now, Kurt, I really thought that was going to end the match. When you saw when Drew McIntyre was about to tap out, but he reached out for the crowbar, for the wrench, and I'm telling you right now, I thought he was going to tap out because it reminded me of Triple H versus Batista Hell in a Cell.
Your favorite?
Yeah, one of my favorites. And then remember when he was about to Batista on Triple H, but as soon as he was about to do that, Triple H had the sledgehammer in his hand. That's what it kind of reminded me about because, it looked like Drew was about to tap out, but he had the tool wrench in his hand. But as soon as he was about to hit Punk, Punk grabbed it, and then he let go of him, and he's telling him to pray to your God, pray to me, and I'm just that's at that moment, that's when we saw that raw emotion that we were talking about, that match telling a story, and then from there he goes for a low blow, and words cannot describe how amazing that match was.
Yeah, there was that point where McIntyre hit Punk with the low blow, and then he pulled out a little bag, and then when he poured the bag out, it was the beads from the bracelet that Punk had for like his wife and also for the dog. And yeah, they were like literally like scattered all over the ring. I thought it was going to be thumbtacks for a second. Then when I saw that, I'm like, oh shit.
That's what I thought.
Adding insult to injury.
That's what I thought too. And you know what? That was the turning point of that match, because that ticked CM Punk off.
And then Drew was about to hit CM Punk with a Claymore onto the steps, but then Drew missed and then hit his lower back onto the steps. And then Punk proceeded to take the beads and shove them into McIntyre's mouth, similar to what McIntyre did to him a month before. Yep. And then he wrapped a chain around his knee, hit McIntyre with the go to sleep with the chain wrapped around the knee, got the 1, the 2, the 3 to finish off Drew McIntyre, finish off the feud, and finally cap off what in my opinion was the feud of the year, and also in my opinion, the match of the year.
I agree. Bittersweet. You kind of hate to see good feuds like this end, but it had to end. And it was a damn good ending. Perfect way to end that feud. I ain't going to lie. I can't believe I'm saying this, right? But I was afraid a certain somebody was going to interfere in that match. I just like... I don't know. I was fooling myself. That person is Seth Rollins. We'll get into later, though. But he did it. Thank God. No, I didn't want to see something like that. It needed to end it in that way. It was a perfect ending. 2 things after that match. Jesus Christ. CM Punk literally had to get an oxygen mask for him. He had a hard time walking out on his own at first.
Yeah, he collapsed. He collapsed when he was walking to the back. He was looking like he was in rough shape.
He was. And another thing, which I noticed, beginning of the match, I don't know if you noticed this, Kurt, but CM Punk, you see how like he likes to how he wears different attires and he likes to do tributes to certain wrestlers. Bret Hart recently at SummerSlam. Well, CM Punk was wearing the same colors as Shawn Michaels from Bad Blood back in 1997. If you look closely at his attire, he had the Shawn Michaels heart on his wrestling.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
I love that. That was dope. On the same day of the Shawn Michaels Undertaker Hell in a Cell, wearing the same colors. I love that.
Yeah, I've liked how this feud and these matches have been callbacks to like classics from like 97, and this one was no different. I don't want to say it was better than Undertaker and Shawn from 97.
It's up.
Damn, bro.
It's on
this
that list.
Definitely, you could definitely add this to one of the top 10 best Hell in a Cell matches of all time.
Absolutely.
Also, my opinion, the match of the year, the only other one that I think competes with it is the Roman and Cody match from WrestleMania. And yeah, definitely a great way to blow off the feud. And this is what Hell in a Cell should be for. This is exactly the way Hell in a Cell should be used.
Should be. That's how you're supposed to build a feud, and that's how you're supposed to end a feud. And, you do your feuds, give it like several months for it to build and everything, and then that's when you want to do a Hell in a Cell. You don't ever want to do like a one-off match, and in the following month you have a Hell in a Cell like they did, years ago. This is how you're supposed to do it. That type of match, that's how a Hell in a Cell match is supposed to be like. Like it's been a while since we saw blood like that in a Hell in a Cell match.
Long time. Yeah, long time.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, there was even some points where the referee was trying to clean up Drew's face, but
he didn't want to.
He wasn't having it. Yeah, he like shoved
I don't blame him. Let them bleed. Come on now.
Yeah, I remember the Brock and Undertaker Hell in a Cell from 2015. Like something similar happened, and yeah, they were not having it. Brock especially, he shoved that referee out the fucking ring.
I gotta rewatch that match again.
Yeah, it was good. I don't know if I like it more than the one from No Mercy O2, but it was still
Well,
good.
yeah, the first encounter they had was better, but the second one was good. It was though, but the first one it said a lot.
But yeah, but after that match, I don't think we're going to be seeing Drew McIntyre for a while. And it's clear from what we saw on Raw that we won't be seeing Punk for a little while either.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I could get into it now though, but I thought he was going to be gone till Royal Rumble though. But I heard the rumor that he is scheduled to be at Survivor Series.
It will be the 1 year anniversary of when he came back, so I could see that.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that in a few minutes. But I just want to say before we move on, hats off to both guys for giving us the
Yes.
best feud of the year. That incredible match
Absolutely
they gave us
perfect.
on Saturday. And yeah, there's not enough good things I could say about it. Great cap
Five
off.
stars.
Yeah, and surprisingly, speaking of 5 stars, I know you're not
Dave
really a
Metzler.
fan of the dude, but yes, Dave Meltzer gave the match 5 stars for his
Yeah,
rating for it.
that's when was the last time he ever gave 5 stars for a match?
I mean, for a WWE match, I think the last one he gave 5 stars to was the Rollins and Cody Rhodes Hell in a Cell, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Yeah, the thing with Dave Meltzer is that he gets criticized a lot for showing favoritism to AEW and showing favoritism to like the New Japan matches and all that. That's like a lot of the reasons why people don't like him or like people don't take his rating seriously.
Hmm.
I think Kurt Angle doesn't have one 5 star match from Meltzer out of all the ones he's had.
Really?
Yeah, that's not right, but whatever, it is what it is. But let's move on to the rest of the show. Honestly, other than the opening match and the main event, I thought the rest of the show was a little mid, and we'll get into some of that mid stuff right now. As in the second match, we had Nia Jax defending her women's championship against Bayley, the woman she defeated for the title at SummerSlam. The match went along fine. It was really nothing out of the ordinary, but then there was this one point.
Well, it was the end. It was the ending what made this one better than their first encounter at SummerSlam. That was that. I think that was like the real talk of that match. I mean, like the match was okay, but like what was like the story within the story? It was what happened towards the end of the match was like the big part of it.
Yes, and what happened was Nia Jax at one point fell on top of the referee, knocking her out in the process. So when Bayley had the match won over Nia Jax, the referee was down, the referee couldn't count. And then that brings out Tiffany Stratton, who attempts to cash in the money in the bank. But as she's about to cash it in, Nia Jax sits up, just like The Undertaker. She sat up
Yeah,
real fast. The expression
yeah,
on Tiffany Stratton's face changed. So this would eventually lead to Nia Jax hitting Bayley from the second rope with a Samoan drop, and then finishing off Bayley with the bonsai, getting the pin, and retaining her title to no surprise.
yeah. I'm telling you, man, that ending. I mean, we said this last week, especially what happened. The week prior on SmackDown was that little altercation between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax,
Yeah, they've been
and
teasing
how
that. Yeah, they have been.
exactly, and how like we kind of called that. Okay, I think Tiffany's going to cash it in, and looked like she was, but she got caught red-handed, and she decided like, no, 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 I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, or whatever. You can see through everything. But yeah, I mean, this right here, even though Nia Jax retained her title, you could look closely at the face of Tiffany Stratton, that little disappointment. She's still going to cash in on her opportunity. She still is.
Yeah, but even though Nia Jax retained, she was visibly pissed off at Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany
Yeah.
Stratton looked visibly shook.
Shook and a bit discouraged. I think discouraged is like the one word I like to describe it.
Yeah, I think Nia Jax is gonna make a Shook Ones remix about Tiffany Stratton.
Oh God.
She's gonna be rolling in Queensbridge. So yes, Nia Jax retained. There was no cash in, at least not yet. But we will see what happens in the coming weeks because this shit is far from over.
Oh, absolutely.
And in the press box, we had the host of Bad Blood, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and also Naomi partying it up with Kathy Kelly. Jace Uso was also in there, a bunch of other people. It looked pretty lit up in there. I was kind of mad that I wasn't there.
I bet. It did. It was, yeah, the vibe was real in there. It was.
But then the vibe changed when Chelsea Green came through stinking and reeking of trash because of her dumpster match she had with Meechin the night before on SmackDown, and they kicked her ass out real fast. Because, yeah, that smell, you could smell from there all the way to the other side of the country, son.
Let's not forget that was one hell of a match and one hell of a finish, by the way.
Yes, it was. And I have to say, Chelsea Green is fucking fantastic as a character. Her character work is second to none. Just playing that Karen role, and also the stuff she was doing with the dumpster match. Ever since she like lost the match, like every time she walks into the room, people are like running away because she smells so fucking bad. Yo, she kills it.
Running away from her because she's so fat. It's like Pepe Le
Yeah,
Pew from
Bianca.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Bianca was like, "Girl, you gotta go. Your ass stinks. I'm sorry, but your ass stinks. You can't be up in
Wow.
here."
I think that one day of washing wasn't good enough, huh?
She'll be okay. They probably didn't play her type of music there anyway.
No.
All right, but moving on. We had Damian Priest taking on his former tag team champion partner and also his former stablemate in the Judgment Day, Finn Balor. And I have to be honest, for how hot this angle was coming out of SummerSlam and how much heat they had between the two of them, going into this match, it didn't really feel that special.
It didn't. It just only felt like a normal match, and for one thing, we knew that interference was going to happen, and it did. Some of the Judgment Day members got involved, but I think just the match overall, it just you notice how like certain feuds that have been building and so much tension for so many months, and then when they finally have that blow off, you don't just feel it. It doesn't feel like It kind of reminds me between Jay and Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania earlier this year.
Yeah, but this was worse. This was worse.
Mm.
Because Jimmy and Jay at least had the heat going into the match, but the match itself didn't deliver. But here, going into the match, they didn't really have that much of the heat. And I thought it was just going to be like a first of many matches they were doing. But after how this ended, I'm not so sure anymore.
No, especially, yeah. And it was a clean finish. It was a very clean finish. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like with Eddie and Chavo Guerrero, because like they had like a little bit of like a short build up, and then you had that finish, and after that, they were done.
So yeah, JD McDonough and Carlito tried to interfere, and Damian Priest obviously fought them off. And then Finn Balor tried to jump from the top rope, and then Damian caught him, hit him with the South of Heaven, and pinned him 1, 2, 3, and that was that.
I kind of do like the how the finish, started, because like Finn Balor was on the top rope, and then like it was funny how Damian kind of caught him, kind of like how Undertaker, choked him while he caught him, and then did the South of Heaven. I like how it was choreographed. I like how it was done, but it was like you saw that, and you're kind of like, I don't see these guys continue their feud moving forward.
Yeah, the way the match ended, it felt very anticlimactic. It didn't really feel like there was any heat to it. The match itself was fine, but the way a lot of people have described the match, it was basically a Raw match.
Mm.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Damian Priest won. I thought this was going to be like a long, drawn-out feud, but it doesn't really look that way anymore. And in another segment, Triple H came out, and there was like a belt sitting in the ring, like with a curtain over it. And I was like wondering what this was about. I thought it was going to be like the introduction of like a women's mid-card title.
That's what we were hearing about, rumors, for a while.
Yeah, but what it came out to be was Triple H revealing a championship that will be given to the winners of a men's and women's champion versus champion match at Crown Jewel, where it'll be the WWE champion against the world champion and the women's champion against the women's world champion, and each of them will get their own version of that belt.
Yeah.
Nah.
And it's called the Crown Jewel Championship.
Yeah, the Crown Jewel Championship, and that brought out Gunther looking like Peter Griffin from Family Guy with his outfit. So he came out, and then sitting in the audience, actually we forgot to mention that sitting in the audience was Goldberg with his son and his wife. And Goldberg's son's looking as tall as him almost now.
Dude, Goldberg's son is in college football.
Crazy, man. I remember him from that Survivor Series 2016. He was like a 10-year-old kid with like his shirt off, looking all awkward, and like Goldberg's raising his hand.
He's grown up.
He grew up a lot. Yeah, he grew up a lot.
He's grown up fast, though. But before we move anything further, I mean, what was your take on the design of the belt and your idea and your thoughts of a crown jewel championship? I thought that was just a random thing that they did. I was kind of like, huh.
I mean, the belt looks fine, but I'll be honest, as far as this goes, I could care
Wasn't
less.
well received. Wasn't well received. I
I
know
could
that for
care less.
sure.
This is basically what they were doing with Survivor Series all these
Yeah.
years ago. At least they're not doing it with Survivor Series anymore, so that's cool. But just from seeing this, I could tell that Crown Jewel isn't going to be a must see show.
Not or is.
It's not going to be a must see
Oh,
show.
okay, not okay.
Yeah, so Gunther came out and started talking trash to Goldberg, talking about how he was just joking when he said a few weeks ago that Goldberg was his favorite wrestler and how a one
Ah,
trick pony like him could never be his favorite wrestler. And then he talked to his son, and this is the cold line where he said, I just hope that your dad is better at being a father than he is at being a professional wrestler. And that set Goldberg off. He was jumping the railing, ready to get at Gunther, and then security came to separate him from Gunther and also separate Gunther too. And then that brought out Sami Zayn to attack Gunther and clear his ass out of the ring. And then I believe Goldberg said to Gunther that you're next.
um, good segment, but for future reference, I don't like the sound of this. Where have you seen this? This is not the first time we've seen this, Kurt.
Yeah, from what I saw of this, it seemed like it was going to be Goldberg and Gunther at Crown Jewel, which is whatever. It's a Saudi show. I could care less. But now that they're doing
Yeah,
the champion versus
still.
champion thing, I don't think
Yeah,
it's going to be happening there.
yeah, still though. But like at the same time, you kind of like. I mean, I could give you like a quick prediction. What I may think would happen. I think Cody Rhodes will win because of the interference of Goldberg.
And then that'll set up Goldberg and Gunther for maybe Survivor Series.
Yeah, yeah,
It could happen.
possibly. I mean, I like it though, but it's like I don't know. A lot of people have been saying for a while should Goldberg have like a redemption match, you know what I mean? Because his last match wasn't it's not really fondly remembered.
Most of his last matches aren't finally remembered.
Oh. So I mean maybe if everything, we play our cards right and if this works well, I mean if it happens I just hope it works out well.
We'll see. I mean, it was a fine segment. The segment was fine, but I'm just good with only that. Like, if that's the end of the whole Goldberg thing and Gunther thing, that's cool. But I don't think it will be.
What, them doing a match with each other?
Yeah, I think something's happening between the two of them down the road, whether it's a match or another segment or whatever it is. Yeah, this is definitely not over.
It's might as well. I mean, they might as well do a match. I mean, it doesn't make any sense if you're going to do a segment and then have Goldberg say that and you not do a match. That it kind of doesn't make any sense. Kind of similar to a certain somebody who we'll talk about later. The more I think about it, I'm okay with it. I think they should do it. I think Goldberg and Gunther should work a program with each other, especially after what happened. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You're going to do a segment like that and not proceed forward with it. It's weird.
Yeah, but what was also weird was the finish to our next match. As for the women's world title, we had Liv Morgan defending against Rhea Ripley, with Dominic Mysterio suspended above the aisleway in a shark cage.
I thought it was going to be above the ring.
But since they had the Hell in a Cell, I guess they couldn't do it above the ring. So
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. The good point. But yeah, good point. Yeah, didn't think about that though. But hey, prior to the match, what do you thought about the entrance? Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan came to the entrance in a lowrider.
yeah, the entrance was dope, but the match itself, honestly, was just like the ones before. Nothing really to write home about. Not really a lot of heat. And then there was one point where Dominic tried to escape the shark cage, but then as he tried to escape, his leg got hooked into it, so he was hanging from it by his leg. And then Rhea Ripley proceeded to take a kendo stick and beat the shit out of Dominic with it.
It didn't seem like the cage was that like. I wonder how high it was. It didn't seem like it was like that high from the ground.
Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't. It didn't feel like it was that high at all. But anyway, as Rhea was beating him down with the kendo stick, Raquel Rodriguez came out, as I predicted, and attacked Rhea Ripley. And then all of a sudden you hear the referee ring the bell. And then Raquel Rodriguez throws Rhea Ripley back into the ring, hits her with her finisher, then puts Liv Morgan on top of Rhea Ripley, but the referee had already rang the bell. So Raquel Rodriguez is like standing there looking all confused. And then she pulled her off of Rhea and then picked her up and then carried her to the back.
Sloppy finish.
And that was it.
I don't know if that was...
Apparently, Raquel Rodriguez missed her cue and she came out sooner than she was supposed to. So the referee had to call a disqualification because he saw her and he couldn't just unsee it. And then Raquel put Liv Morgan on top of Rhea by mistake. So that's why it looked like the mess that it did.
Yeah, sloppy, but kind of...
Yeah.
I think, look, I'm not a wrestler, right? I just know I put myself in that situation that you kind of need to communicate, call an audible, be like, even if you do miss your cue, kind of like call audible or something like that. I think that's in the fact that when Raquel Rodriguez, like me personally, I'm glad to see her again. I always loved Raquel Rodriguez.
Me too.
But the thing that bothered me the most was that there was no we didn't hear like a reaction or a pop or whatever from the crowd.
Yeah, that and also just the way it played out. Yeah, it's just all I kind of felt flat.
It was weird. I mean, it's like, how long has it been since we've seen her?
Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that's been a while. So I was kind of disappointed in the crowd not like reacting to that, to her coming back, and because we didn't come on, really didn't expect to have somebody interfere in that match. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Sloppy finish though, but just kind of a weak reaction to her coming back, man.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but it is what it is. I will say this is definitely a far cry from the match they had at SummerSlam, Rhea and Liv. Yeah, that match had a lot more heat. The finish was a lot better. All that.
Oh yeah, of course. It was way more of a shock value than this one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like this feud starting to get a little cold. I don't know if they can drag this out all the way until WrestleMania. I think.
Oh hell no! I never expected them for one. I never expected them to drag it that long to WrestleMania. That is way too long. Okay, way too long. Number 2, Rhea Ripley says that she wants to work with Bianca Belair for Mania next year.
I don't think that's happening this year because I think it's going to be Bianca and Jade. Their tag team is bound to break up sooner or later.
Yeah, but just Rhea this was something that Rhea said that, hey, she would like to work with Bianca for Mania next year. That's what she said.
Yeah, I've been dying to see that match for years, but it's probably going to be a little while longer until we see it.
Yeah, but still, a feud like that is way too long. You cannot stretch that out to WrestleMania. That's way too long. The feud gets cold by then. You have to end it.
The way I see it going down now is that it'll probably be Rhea and Raquel that crown jewel. And then I think they'll probably do a War Games match with Rhea's team against Liv's team in Survivor Series. And the best way I can see them blowing this off is at Saturday night's main event. Either there or the first Raw on Netflix. Those are the two only places I could see where they could blow this off. Because WrestleMania is too long. WrestleMania is another 6 months.
Long, yeah. Right after that, you have to end it. So...
yeah, but on to the main event of Bad Blood. We had, for the first time ever, teaming up Roman Reigns and the WWE champion Cody Rhodes taking on the new bloodline of Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. And how crazy is it? Roman and Cody got these big-ass extravagant entrances.
Yeah, Cody had the biggest one. He had was that the Georgia Tech?
No, it was Arkansas. It was like a school from Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they played for him. I saw that picture with him in the band in the back saying that Cody's all about the culture. And they say Triple H doesn't push the black wrestlers.
I'm kind of getting look, hey, we're gonna. You know what, man?
You're aware of that joke, right? People always say that Cody's black and that Cody's erased racism with this promo.
Yeah, yes, I know, but
and his
I
wife.
know. But as far as the Triple H thing, we'll get into later though, because like so much
Yeah,
happened after.
they asked him about it at the press
Yes, we'll get
conference.
into that though. But yeah, what an entrance by Cody Rhodes. I love that. I liked it.
The Roman entrance was also dope, and it's so crazy. This was Roman's like first entrance for a match in 4 years without the championship.
Yeah.
And without Heyman, without the other members of the bloodline. Yeah, it was just him by himself, no belts, no nothing.
Nope.
He had the Pyro and the Choir performing for him, but other than that, yeah, it was a different kind of Roman Reigns entrance to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we had the match. The match was good. There was one point, obviously, where they were double teaming Cody, and there was one point where Cody tried to get the tag from Roman, but it looked like Roman like dropped off the apron on purpose, but actually it was Jacob Fatu who pulled him off the apron. But I like how they shot that though. That shit was dope.
How many times have we seen that? It happens all the time. Wow.
And then Roman eventually gets tagged in. He starts going off on Jacob, going off on Solo Sikoa, cleaning house. And then there's one point where Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes are outside of the ring. And then Jacob Fatu tries to spear Cody through the railing, but he misses. And then Cody, similar to what Jacob Fatu did to him on his debut on SmackDown a few months ago, pointed at Roman and said, "This one's for you," and then splashed Jacob Fatu through the announce table.
Wow.
Oof. Oof. And as Roman is trying to finish off Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa come out to interfere and cause a distraction, and that allows Solo Sikoa to spear Roman, but then Roman kicks out to no surprise. And then Solo's talking shit to Roman, saying, "I was the tribal chief. You promised it to me. You lied to me. You lied to me." And then he's about to hit him with the Samoan spike. But as he's about to do it, he notices somebody at ringside in a hoodie and in a mask standing behind Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. And then that person in the mask super kicks both of them. And then he takes off the hoodie, takes off the mask to reveal that it is the returning Jimmy Uso. And then Solo looks at him in shock and in horror because of what Solo did to him 6 months ago. And that allowed Roman to finish off Solo with a spear, get the pin, and get the win for Roman and Cody. And then after the match, Jimmy Uso comes into the ring, and then him and Roman, they hug.
Yeah, Roman had that look on his face. It was like a shock look, like, oh, like like he's surprised that he's back, but surprised that, hey, did you like you took care of those guys for me? Like, you still care about me? And like, yeah, and like they hugged it out, and that was great to see. That was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was good to see them reunited because like Roman and Jimmy never had any problems. They were still together up until WrestleMania. Yeah. And then as Roman and Jimmy are leaving the ring, the rest of the bloodline attack Cody. And then as they're attacking him, Jimmy's telling Roman, "You gave him your word. You gave him your word," referring to a few weeks ago about having each other's back. And then Roman decides to go back into the ring with Jimmy, and they clear out the bloodline and help Cody out. And then Roman hands Cody the championship reluctantly. And then as he's doing that, "If you smell," hits on the speakers, and it is the return of the final boss, The Rock.
And he had that look like, what the hell? No. What in the blue hell is going on? Why do I see my cousin, Roman Reigns, who I was just in a tag team with at WrestleMania, why is he with Cody Rhodes, the person who we were trying to keep the belt away from him? Even though that, hey, Roman lost to this guy. But why are they with each other? That raised that eyebrow, that iconic eyebrow told the whole story. And him just not saying anything just told the whole entire story. That's one hell of a way to end an event.
Rock just looked at all three of them, counted 1, 2, 3, did the throat sign, and then walked away. And that's how the show ended.
Yeah. But I've seen there was way more, but I've never seen, a pay-per-view or a PLE where it's over, but then something else happens behind the scenes. So apparently I loved how they did this. I this has never been done before, ever. And I love how they did it. So apparently after the event, Cody Rhodes is outside of his bus talking to Kevin Owens. You really cannot hear what they're discussing, but this video was from a fan outside of the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, and apparently it shows a video of Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes talking amongst each other. It looked like they're just getting into a little argument. Apparently, after what happened tonight, very obvious that KO was upset about him tag teaming with Roman Reigns and also with Jimmy Uso and all that. And out of nowhere, Kevin Owens blasts him with a punch and lays him out and attacks him. And all the fans are witnessing this.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is like some Rodney King type shit. Yeah, Kevin Owens just attacked Cody Rhodes outside of his bus, beat the hell out of him. We saw this coming for weeks, but I didn't expect him to, pull it off this way. Yeah, that happening and The Rock also returning makes SmackDown tonight all the more interesting.
I've never seen anything like that before. I loved how way it was done. I love that, but for one, I'm so damn glad Kevin Owens is a heel now because we've been pleading to have like more heels to compete with Cody Rhodes. People have been complaining about how watered down Cody Rhodes' title reign has been. So Kevin Owens is now officially heel. We're gonna hear his story of why he turned heel tonight. But hey, how the way it was done, I loved it.
Yeah, it was very well done. I don't think The Rock will be on the show tonight. I think that was just like a one-time appearance, but we'll see him again soon enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the Kevin Owens turning on Cody thing, this definitely makes SmackDown tonight more interesting. We'll definitely get an explanation tonight of why he did it. Mm-hmm. And since Cody's going to be occupied at Crown Jewel with the champion versus champion thing, I see Cody and Kevin Owens at Survivor Series.
Okay.
And I like that picture that Brandy Rhodes posted of like Cody, Brandy, their daughter, and Kevin Owens all at Disney World, and Cody and Brandy's daughter giving Kevin Owens like a dirty look, and Brandy puts in the caption, "She knew this whole time. She could tell that he couldn't be trusted."
Oh man. So so out of 10 overall, what would you rate Bad Blood?
7 out of 10. Opening match was incredible. The main event was also good in the ending, but everything else in between was just whatever. Yeah, that's basically
okay. I knew you were going to say a 7. Yeah,
you were saying last week it was going to be the best PLE of the year, and it had its moments. Don't get me wrong, but
outside of Mania,
it was not Mania. It wasn't as good as Mania. It wasn't even as good as Backlash, I thought, or Clash at the Castle, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. It wasn't better than any of those shows.
I mean, outside of Mania, Mania was like the best one of this year so far, though. But I mean, like as far as like the events outside of it, other than Mania, I would give it. I mean, I think I need to rewatch it again. I'll probably, as of right now, I'll give it like a 7.5.
Okay, a little higher than me.
Yeah.
But yes, that was Bad Blood 2024. Overall, a show that delivered as far as major moments and progressing storylines further. And we had some of the further developments of those storylines on Raw Monday as CM Punk came out to talk about the match and talk about like how he was feeling after it. And yeah, you could definitely tell he was banged up and not in good shape. And he even said that he's going to be gone for a while and he does not know when he'll be back. And as he was leaving, Seth Rollins came out to interrupt, kind of laughing in his face, and then he bumped into him purposely as he walked to the ring. And then Seth Rollins cut a promo talking about how he can't wait for Punk to get back so he could put him into retirement for good.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Potential feud.
It is going to happen. Yeah, Rollins said that. He also talked about how he's coming for Bronson Reed, who was not on the show because of the match the week before. So yeah, I see that happening as the match at Crown Jewel. But then as Rollins was cutting his promo, Jey Uso came out to interrupt. And then Rollins kind of gave him a dirty look and walked away.
It's weird.
Yeah, my cousin DJ 47, who we actually had on the show a few months ago, he pointed out the fact that there's a potential of a Seth Rollins heel turn coming soon, and I could definitely see it
Course.
now. Now that you brought that up, and I saw the
Of
tweet,
course,
I
of course. Especially the fact that you're gonna feud with Punk. Come on, you know Rollins is gonna be the heel in that situation. So come on now, it's no surprise.
And also on Raw, we had the Intercontinental title match between Jey Uso and Xavier Woods. Match was really short, actually, a lot shorter than I thought it would be. And then, to no surprise, Jey Uso retained. After the match was over, Kofi Kingston shook Jey Uso's hand, but Xavier Woods refused to shake Jey Uso's hand and then told Kofi to leave the ring with him. And he was mad at Kofi for shaking his hand, and they got into this big argument. And then, as this is happening, Braun Breaker came out and speared the hell out of Jey Uso.
Told you. I told you. I was not
Damn, so
playing
false
that. I
alarm.
was not. I was not feeling that whole Braun Breaker babyface turn. I tweeted it and I said I knew that whole thing was a sham from the first place. I wasn't buying into that. Braun Breaker lost. Was a very great match with Jey Uso that night on Raw, and just what the following week. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna turn babyface out of the blue like that. And I said to myself, like, okay, who is Jay's going to feud with the title moving forward? You know what I mean? I was like, I wasn't buying that whole babyface turn from him, man. I wasn't feeling that. Braun Breaker to me is not. He's better as a heel, and how that whole thing was transpired, I loved it. He kind of fooled us. He didn't fool me. I knew. He wasn't going to fool me. I knew there was something sneaky behind him, but he fooled everybody. And I loved it.
Yeah, I kind of should have seen it coming too. So it's obvious that this feud is not over. And then
Oh no.
Braun Breaker also laid out Kofi and Xavier Woods, and then laid Jey Uso out again with another spear. So yeah, I feel like this is the crown jewel match more than likely.
Yeah. And you know what? And one thing I was about to mention, you did mention about how the Xavier Woods and Jey Uso match was short. Let's not forget, Kurt, that that episode of Raw was the first episode they went 2 hours.
First 2 hour Raw since July of 2012.
Yeah, and a lot of the fans were kind of complaining it was the wrong idea to go back 2 hours. They felt that most of the segments were way too short, too many commercials.
The only two parts of Raw that people liked was the Donnybrook match between Sheamus and Pete Dunne. The match ultimately ended with Sheamus hitting the bro kick on the Pete Dunne and then pinning him with his hands tied behind his back.
Wow.
That was very Orange Cassidy like, but the match was still good. I don't know about the finish per se. That kind of made Pete Dunne look a little weaker than he should have looked, but it is what it is. The match still delivered. And the main event between Gunther and Sami Zayn for the World Heavyweight title, that was also a very good match in which Sami Zayn was unable to answer the 3 count for the sleeper hold when he was trapped in it, and the referee stopped the match. And then after the match was over, as Gunther was celebrating, he was interrupted by Cody Rhodes as they stood face to face as the show went off the air. So yeah, that is the match we are getting at Crown Jewel.
Are you okay after what we saw on Raw? Are you okay with them going back to 2 hours?
I mean, I've always begged for 2 hour Raws, like during the Vince era specifically. And in a way, I'm kind of happy they've gotten back to it because it's not as long to sit through. But I will admit, this show is definitely one of the weaker Raws I've seen in a while because Raw's been pretty hot and pretty consistent for the most part the last few months. And yeah, this is definitely not one of the strongest shows. This show is definitely not it.
I'm a little bit 50-50 on it because, like, look, I believe that there are certain things you should and should not do. When it comes to TV programming, it should not. I'm very less is more. Have you ever heard that saying?
I get it. Yeah, I get
I
it.
don't like if it's like a PLE, your normal is 3 hours. That's different. TV shows, that's 3 hours is different. You have to remember there's commercials in a TV show. And there's this, it drags. This is way too long. 3 hours is a long time. And don't get me wrong, a long time ago, every once in a while, you have like a 3 hour special. That's different every once in a while. But that do it weekly, on a weekly basis, where you have to sit and just watch your programming for 3 hours straight with the commercials added into it, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it felt that way, and maybe next week will be better, but that first 2 hour Raw in 12 years there, that did not hit at all. But I mean, you're gonna have good shows and bad shows here and there, and yeah, that was just one of the bad shows. Yeah, Rhea Ripley wasn't there, Damian Priest wasn't there, Dominic, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez came to the arena, and then they just left right away. Yeah, it didn't really hit, didn't really click, except for those two parts of it that I mentioned.
True, and I think that with the fact that if they would have did 3 hours, of course you would have got a segment from them. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you got to put in within 2 hours, but it's like I don't know, you gotta just it's time management. There's a lot of time management what you got to do with your storytelling, your segments, especially the right after PLE. You know what I mean? You gotta explanations, the what, where, why, and how effect you have to play into, and there's so much you gotta put into, especially in a 2 hour show is a lot. So I think moving forward, of course they're going to learn from this. They're going to look back and like, okay, this is what we should and should not do moving forward. But I think part of me is feel like, I mean, maybe it is best to go 3 hours, even though it was just only temporarily. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I'm not. 3 hours is very time consuming.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when they move back to Netflix in January. From what I understand, I think from what Triple H said, it might be 3 hours some weeks. It might be 2.5 hours other weeks. It's kind of like up in the air right now. But
No. That just hits me now. I wonder how long Saturday night's main event is going to be.
I would guess 2 hours. I remember initially back in the day it was an hour and a half, and then when they brought it back in '06, it was 2 hours, like for the shows they would do then. So I see it being 2 hours, give or take.
Yeah, I thought I remember. Okay, maybe okay. It was 2 hours back then. I don't know why I was thinking. It was like a little bit longer than that, but
So we have Crown Jewel coming up on November 2nd. I'll be honest, from what it's looking like so far, it's like not one of those shows I'm going to be going out of my way to watch.
don't get me wrong. Like if they potentially do Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker, I would love to see it. I think that's one of the matches. Honestly, I'm looking forward to. I think when it comes to Cody versus Gunther, remember this is the first time they've been in a ring with each other since Royal Rumble 2023. It's been a long time. I'm curious to see how well they will, you know, interact with each other, entering an actual match, and then of course I'm looking forward to Goldberg, what he's gonna do. So that's the two things I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm sure the match will be great, but it just not really much is on the line. They get that championship belt that you'll see that one night, and then you'll
No,
never see it again.
no, no, no,
Just like when Braun Strowman won that
no.
greatest Royal Rumble all those years ago. He won that belt, he held it up for that
Okay.
one night, and we never saw the belt again.
Wasn't that a trophy?
No,
No,
it
it
was a
was.
belt. He got a belt.
Okay, I don't know what I was thinking. He had a trophy. Oh,
Yeah, it is what it is. But it's funny, CM Punk, I heard him say that the three people he would take with him, like if he were going to fight in an alley with a group of other people, would be Shayna Baszler, Braun Strowman. I think he said Braun Breaker too, and Samoa Joe.
okay, good. He one of his old buddies, Samoa Joe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. But we did have NXT on Tuesday night on the CW. Another pretty noteworthy show. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill were on the show. Also, your favorite rapper, Sexy Red, was on the show too, who was interrupted by Ethan Page. Well, I'm sure it's now your new favorite wrestler now that he did that.
Just continue on.
Oh, yeah, she was on Raw Monday too. She opened Raw Monday. I'm like, oh my God. It's bad enough she's on NXT. She has to be on Raw too. Ew. Ew.
God.
Yeah, she was. It's in her hometown of St. Louis, so I'm guessing that's why they had her there. But that does not make me want to see her anymore, though.
Ay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Most of the people under the comment section, most of the people like under the comment section for like the Sexy Red appearances, yeah, they're not feeling it. They're like, "Yo,
You're
this
overdoing it.
girl's mad whack. Yeah, her music sucks. Her like way of carrying herself sucks. Why is she on the damn show?
Like seriously. Like you're overdoing it.
Because she's famous, she's popular, she's hot right now. So yeah, I guess I see why they do it in that sense. But
Is that so? Really? So how come wasn't her? I remember hearing her tour was canceled or something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, look, I'm not a fan either, but for whatever reason, she has her fan base.
Ugh.
Yikes. But and that's another story. But NXT did go up against AEW Dynamite this past Tuesday, and the results are damaging for AEW as NXT scored 874,000 for the rating for the night, and AEW Dynamite scored 329,000. Granted,
Ooh.
AEW was not on their normal night of Wednesday, but still, that's bad. That's fucking bad. They got fucking
The
annihilated.
fact
They got annihilated.
Dynamite is like their flagship show, right?
Yeah, Dynamite is their flagship show.
The fact that you literally just you got lower ratings than a show that is like your kind of like your minor league of the WWE. That's sad.
Yeah, and it was the lowest rated episode of Dynamite in the history of AEW. In the 5 years they've been around, that's the lowest
Not
rated
only that,
episode of Dynamite they did.
so you're being killed in the ratings, and your attendance is just I mean, we kind of beat a dead horse with this. Your attendance is not good. So they need to have a State of the Union address, just like what Triple H and Shawn Michaels did on NXT. I thought that was funny.
I don't think it's gonna
That's
help them,
what.
man. I don't think it's gonna.
I mean, the election. Hey, the election. Come on now, the elections is coming up like less than a month. Tony Khan needs to do some State of the Union address with this whole AEW situation before the new year starts.
I'll be honest, just like the presidential election, when it comes to the AEW product right now, at least a weekly product, I've never been more disinterested in my life.
He needs to make some serious changes, dude. Because, like, bro, like, if attendance, I think attendance is the one that hurts. Like, it will kind of like will bother me the most because I mean, I remember hearing the stories during the Monday Night Wars how WWE at the time, when they were losing in the ratings, their attendance was still up. They still had good attendance.
Yeah, like in
Yeah,
'97. Yeah, like in '97ish, they were still putting on a good show, but the thing was WCW was just ahead of them, but then by like '98, that's when they started to catch up to them.
yeah. I mean, they're still good in their attendance though. They're just the ratings weren't like up there yet as WCW.
Reflecting it, yeah.
Yeah, but with this situation, my God, like, okay, it's one thing when you're doing bad in ratings, right? But dude, when your attendance is down, that says a lot. I think that's 10 times worse than the ratings.
Yeah, it's hard watching these shows now. It's hard like just seeing how like half empty the arenas are
Oh my
and just how
God.
unenthusiastic the fans are, how uninteresting most of the storylines are. They could sign all these ex WWE talent all they want, whether it's Mercedes Monet, whether it's Swerve Strickland, who I like. I love Swerve Strickland. He's been doing great. Until they fix whatever issues they're having internally and all that good stuff, they're gonna keep having those problems. And it's a damn good thing they got that TV rights deal, though. It's a damn good thing they have that deal. They'll still be fine, even though they're having those attendance problems. But
Are you sure about that?
still, man,
Wait a minute. You're sure about that, Kurt?
they're still going to be on the air for a few more years. They're still going to be getting that money every year. So the bad
I
attendance
know.
is bad. Don't get me wrong, but with that, they'll still be at least around for another 3 years.
I know, but you gotta remember this. You remember this now. Who is AEW TV rights now with? Didn't he reach a deal with Fox?
They have a deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, but they reached a deal with Fox Sports Mexico.
Fox Sports Mexico.
Yeah, that's who they reached a deal with. But their TV rights deals with Warner Discovery, it's for, like I said last week, I think it's $150 million a year, or maybe even more than that. And it's for 3 years. And they're gonna have Dynamite and Collision simulcast on both Max and also TBS and TNT. And it's looking like that show Rampage is gonna get canceled, which they might as well cancel because nobody watches that show. Nobody's watched that show in 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because if it was with Fox, I mean, you said Fox Mexico though, but if it's like the actual Fox here in America, you got to remember, Kurt, when SmackDown was on Fox for the first couple of years, with how the way they were doing things, you got to remember Fox got frustrated with them. You remember that?
The main reason why Fox got frustrated with them, or one of the main reasons why they didn't, re-sign with them, is the fact that having WWE on the network wasn't like really paying off as far as advertising. Like as far as the advertising they would run during SmackDown, it wasn't resulting in people who were watching SmackDown buying the stuff they were advertising.
Hmm.
It didn't really generate any more money people were willing to spend on the ads they were selling.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how much better AEW would be with that, considering how cold they are right now. Because
No.
it's good they have that TV rights deal. I'm really happy they do. I really hope they stick around, and I hope they get through this rough patch. But I'll be honest, I have not watched an episode of Dynamite probably since I moved to Jersey. So that's like probably about 6 weeks. Like a full episode of Dynamite from start to finish, I have not watched in a good month and a half.
You know what? You know what bothers me is about when it comes to their attendance is how, like, look, majority of the time AEW, right, for their normal shows like Dynamite, right, majority of the time they're like in small arenas.
And also another problem they're having now, they're running shows in smaller towns. Like they're not running the big cities really.
Yeah, but like that's the thing though. You're running your shows in smaller towns plus small towns with small arenas, and you're still having attendance issues. That's like odd. I remember like you go back to like 94, 95, 96 in WWE, you remember they were always running shows in small towns and like freaking gymnasiums, and they were, their attendance was, they were packed.
Yeah, there were small arenas, but you could definitely tell they were filled up.
Yeah, they were filled up. They were literally like in freaking gymnasiums, like, for 94, 95. You know what I mean? Their attendance was good.
Yeah, AEW does have their Wrestle Dream pay-per-view this Saturday from Washington, and it's
Tacoma.
going to be
Tacoma.
Tacoma, Washington, another smaller town compared to Seattle. And Bryan Danielson will defend the AEW championship in the main event against Jon Moxley. And from how they've been building Jon Moxley on TV the last few weeks for the storyline, there's a lot of rumblings that we might see Shane McMahon debut at Wrestle Dream.
Yeah, the whole rumor about, him and AEW, been hearing that for a while now. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with that.
It could happen, especially after the episode of the Mr. McMahon documentary where they document him and Vince's like working relationship. I could see it happening.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make in their business or how much difference it's going to make as far as like the quality of the show, but who knows? Maybe it'll make the storylines interesting. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
But I think this is it for Bryan Danielson as far as his full-time career, because he's even talking about the fact that he's like feeling numbness in his arm and he can't sleep because of it, and like his neck is like really breaking down on him. So I feel like after this match he drops the title and he's not full-time anymore. It was fun while it lasted. I'm happy he got that moment at Wembley Stadium and he won the title and had that moment with his family. But I think this is the last hurrah for him. He loses that title tomorrow night.
You know what's weird? Doesn't AEW do good in their attendance when it comes to pay-per-views?
They do good with their attendance when it comes to their pay-per-views, and also their pay-per-views usually deliver. Like more often than not, their pay-per-views are usually good or very good.
Okay. Yeah, because I go back to All In. You're right. Wembley Stadium, they do very well their attendance, but then it's just like when you look at the shows, it's like, dude, what's going on, man?
Yeah, there's a magic in AEW that's just not there anymore. I really hope they get it back eventually, but it's just feeling ice cold right now.
Like I said, Tony Khan needs to have a State of Union address.
I don't know if that's going to help.
What else did you do? What else could you do?
The best way people have described him is that he's a nice guy who's just like not really like a firm leader, firm boss. But he seemed like to take a different approach with that with the Lucha Bros' contract, because it was rumored that they were going to be in WWE and sign with WWE, but one of them was out with an injury for a while, so he added more time to his contract because of it. So they're not going to be in WWE for at least another year probably.
I feel bad for the Khan family. They're doing bad. I mean, their business is kind of just a little down, and of course, his father, who's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're not doing so well right now. So
they're never really good, though, aren't they?
Historically, they don't do so well. I think every full moon, they'll have that one breakout season. like a couple years ago they made the playoffs, and then there was at one time like a few like in 2017 they went all the way to the AFC Championship. But like historically they're not like historically like good, should I say?
Like the Charlotte Hornets, like Charlotte Hornets in the NBA being one example.
Yeah. Yeah, you thought Michael Jordan being the owner would change things, but it didn't.
But getting back into NXT real fast, there was a story coming out that there was one man who was at the hotel where the female NXT talent were staying that night, and that one fan was escorted from the hotel not once but twice for taking pictures of the female talent's feet.
Twice?
Yeah, he was escorted from the hotel twice for trying to take pictures of their feet.
Horrible.
Yeah, that is some weird shit, man. That's the shit that gives us wrestling fans a very, very bad name.
Hey.
Yikes. And Triple H at the press conference after Bad Blood on Saturday was asked about, like, the lack of, black male wrestlers on the PLEs and in prominent spots. And he basically just said, like, I don't see color. I just see talent, and that it's not about, discriminating against anybody or excluding anybody. We just put everybody on the spot who's the most deserving of it.
Do you felt that, like, because I forgot to mention about that. Do you felt that was, like, right for anybody in that? I mean, look, it is journalism, you know what I mean? We're going to ask tough questions, but you felt like that was something that, like, we had to address that question to him? And number two, do you think his answer was justified? Do you think that was, like, the right answer to give? Because some people are like, oh, it wasn't the right thing for him to say, and blah, 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 and all that,
I could see how the I don't see color statement came off bad. I could see how people, took that the wrong way. But honestly, I don't think that WWE and Triple H are racist or like excluding or discrediting the black wrestlers. Like I've said, the black wrestlers have been doing the best they've done in years over like the last, I would say, decade or so.
Mainly the past few years, mainly. You look at the
Yeah,
past 5 years, it was a big, big, big step they've been doing. So,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, the last few years has been getting a little colder, admittedly, but overall, I think the black wrestlers in WWE are doing fine. Maybe they're doing a little better in NXT compared to the main roster, but I think people are making too big a deal about this whole thing. I think people are just kind of in a way like looking for something to complain about, looking for something to, throw a fit over. And yeah, it's an easy target.
It just rubs me off the wrong way when I hear that topic. I never saw that as an issue. You know what I mean? It's just like there's a lot of nitpicking. Like,
Can't stand nitpickers,
I hate that, man. Just like, dude, if you're really not
especially girlfriends.
right, oh right, but yeah, but it's just when it comes to the whole race thing, it's just like, dude, I don't see black superstars in this business being represented in the wrong way or in a stereotypical way.
Like back in the day.
Exactly. I see them being pushed more than ever, especially over the past 5 years. Everybody's saying the black male stars. Like, look, just in general, male or female, they are getting pushed a little bit more than they were a long time ago. Bianca Belair is a prime example. Big prime example.
I'm sure Jade Cargill's gonna have
She
a big
is.
run, like when she goes
Yes,
solo
she is.
eventually.
And like I said this before, I think if you want to get back into having black male superstars like on a card or whatever, I think some of them have to step up a little bit more. I think some of them need to break out of being in the tag teams, because when you look at most of the black male superstars now, guess where they're at? They're mostly in the tag
Tag
team.
teams.
So you can't really expect yourself to like, okay, put yourself, be on a card or be in the spotlight if you're just in a tag team. That's just how I see it. Montez Ford is a prime example. D'Angelo Hawkins.
Yeah, as far as like on the main roster, the only like real singles black wrestler I could think of who has like potential to maybe get to that at least US title level is Carmelo Hayes right now.
I love, and that's another guy. Oh my god, I'm such a huge fan of Carmelo Hayes. And look, you could, wherever people complaining about like how they're not being pushed, guys, look at the black male talent on NXT.
Yeah, but NXT, it's Shawn Michaels doing it, not Triple H.
Yeah, I know though, but like before Triple H was in charge of the main roster, he was running the show at NXT, and you saw the black male talent was how he was doing over there. So it's like, again, I feel like it's another nitpicking situation where it's like it just shows how like a lot of certain fans are dissatisfied still, and it's like, dude, come on, just like enjoy it. Just like, come on.
Yeah, even Booker T was kind of backing up Triple H and what he said about how like people
Yeah,
are making this thing too big a deal, and if they keep making it a big deal, it's just not going to get you really anywhere. I just feel like it's just some internet outrage bullshit. That's kind of how it's starting to feel. I started seeing it float around, like I would say, like maybe a month or two ago, and now it's
mm,
just gotten like way to the point where like now, yeah, Triple H is
overboard.
being asked about it in press conferences.
Yeah, it's like, bro, why? That's why I just asked. That's why I asked you. Do you felt like that was like? Do you really think that that question need to be addressed? It's like, dude, come on, like,
I mean, I'm
really?
not surprised. I'm not surprised that they asked it because it's been such a big topic on online the last
I
few weeks.
know.
So I'm not surprised that somebody asked it. I mean, they asked him about the Vince thing like right after it happened, like the Royal Rumble press
Yeah,
conference. I mean, these people could ask anything. They could
yeah.
ask anything, whether they should ask it or they should not ask it. You never know what questions they're gonna
I think you
ask.
just is how the way you address the answer. Like I look at the was it African American wrestling group on Facebook that we both follow. I just it's like I see like they're complaining about it on there. And it's like, guys, like, I don't know, man. Like I see, if I look, if I see talent, I see talent. That's all I want to see. I want to see just I want to see a good performance. I want to see good entertainment. That's all I want.
Yeah, obviously there's discrimination in wrestling. There's been discrimination in wrestling and all that. We're not denying that or downplaying that. But in this whole scenario that we're talking about right now, it just like really feels like people are looking for shit to complain about. And it's
I
just
know.
getting annoying now. It's getting annoying where like a lot of people just make every single last issue, every single last criticism of somebody black into like a race issue. Like I know you've been hearing lately that people are saying that Beyonce was a part of Diddy's whole regime, and and she was like
We
involved in
don't
the
know
whole
that.
Diddy situation and all that. I know, of course we don't, of course we don't. But the main argument I've been hearing against like Beyonce being involved in that is that anytime a black woman's successful, they try to bring her down, they try to discredit her, they try to disgrace her name. I'm like, yo, that's the argument you're gonna use. That's the argument you're gonna use to try to defend her. Not that, oh, she's a nice person. Oh, I've known her for years. She's always been charitable. She's always been positive. She's always been good. But it just feels like anytime it comes to like a race situation, they just have to like go out of their way to blow it out of proportion, and in some cases just make it a bigger deal than it is. To the point where you can't, like I said, criticize somebody black if they do something wrong or if they are in the wrong in a situation, which I don't agree with, because if you are all for equality and all that, that equality also comes with being called out when you mess up.
Thank you. Regardless of what color you are.
Yeah, you shouldn't be denied opportunities because of your race color, but you should also not be automatically given opportunities just because of your race color either.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like as like as far as my race, I don't act I don't act this way though. I feel like when we feel like we're the ones that been through it the most, and we don't look outside of the box, we don't think about the other minorities that it got going on. But it's like the one thing is like I don't hear other minorities complain about their struggles, what they go through. It's like we feel like we have it the worst, and it's like we don't think about like, okay, other minorities like Asian, Hispanics, they got it just as bad as us. But at the same time, it's like we gotta stop. I don't know. Like we gotta stop using when stuff goes wrong.
It's because I'm black.
Oh,
It's because I'm black that you
using
deny
our
me
color.
opportunities, or it's because I'm
Yeah,
black that you're
as like
criticizing me.
exactly as like yeah. And then I don't like hearing stuff like that. It's like, dude, you gotta you gotta take a little bit more responsibility and stop being a little bit selfish. Sometimes I think we feel like we think about ourselves just a little bit way too much. We don't think about what other minorities are going through sometimes. But again, that's just a take. But as far as when you go back to the wrestling thing, I think that, I mean, like me, if I was a wrestler, right? If I'm a tag team, and I think any wrestler wants to potentially wants to be in a spotlight, wants to be pushed, have a spot on a card or whatever. I want to take every risk possible. So that means that, hey, I need to break up. I want to be singles and show myself out there. Then I'm gonna have to do it. But then I have to prove to the company to have that confidence in me, to see me. I was like, you know what? I have confidence, God. I'm gonna make him the guy.
Yeah, just in general, not even just when it comes to racism, just when it comes to life in general, there's only so much time you can spend feeling sorry for yourself and making excuses for, why you're not where you want to be in life or why you're not getting certain opportunities. And like, yeah, granted, there are certain, situations that you're treated unfairly and that you're denied opportunities because of reasons that are not your fault, granted, but there's only so many times that you can use that excuse.
Yeah, and look, I know. I know. Like, listen, I know we're not really fond of Vince McMahon,
Hell no.
right? But I think there was one thing from that documentary that I liked when The Rock, because when The Rock, became world champion at Survivor Series, he, told Vince, "Hey, I'm gonna be the, I'm the first black, world champion, right?" And Vince told him, "Is like, hey, I don't see that. I see you for you." And I like that. That was like, I don't see the color. I see you because I just see how the way you carry yourself and how you present yourself. If I see that, I see money. I see this is going to help this company. That's what I see. At the end of the day, that's what fans, I think that's what everybody in the company wants to see.
But also at the same time, to counter that, I don't have the problem with, like, acknowledging that you're the first black world champion or really first black
No, no, no.
anything to
First,
do.
oh
Yeah,
no,
if you're ever the
oh no.
first,
When we,
if you're ever the first of
yeah,
any race to do anything like that or accomplish anything like that, that should definitely
yeah.
be celebrated and acknowledged.
Yes, hell yeah. I firmly agree on that. I firmly agree on that. Yeah, when first Hispanic champion or whatever it is.
Irish
Yeah,
world champion in Sheamus's case.
yeah, hell yeah.
At the end of the day, people just need to stop looking for reasons to complain. People just online, especially, just go out of their way to just find things to criticize, find things to complain about, find things to be upset about. And it just played out now. It's like, yo, is that all you have to do with your time is find reasons to be miserable?
And listen, I look, and I've said this before so many times, guys. If you are not happy with how the product is for any other reason, just do what I do 15 years ago. Leave. Like that annoys the hell out of me. Like that one of the reasons why us wrestling fans get a bad little bit of a bad rep is that we like to complain about a lot of stuff, but yet we still tune in and watch.
I mean, it's no different than
Why?
sports fans. It's no different than maybe
With
sports fans who root for a team and they complain every year that they suck or that they
oh no, of course
management's
not,
horrible.
dude. Of course not. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, of
Knicks fan,
course.
of course, Kurt. I mean, how unhappy were you with management over the past, I don't know how many years?
Oh yeah, they were trash. Yeah, they were trash.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you could make the comparison to sports fans. I mean, look, I could talk about my Chargers. I do not like my owner. That is why when they hired Jim Harbaugh, I was actually like, wow, he's really hiring. He's going to hire him. But before that, you've been cheap hiring these former coordinators with no head coaching experience. This is why we're not up top tier like everybody else. So when he hired Jim Harbaugh, an actual legit head coach with a good resume, I was like, oh my god, he's really like done it. So yeah, it's kind of similar to the sports things where a lot of fans are disgruntled that like I don't like the management, I don't like blah blah blah, but yet they still support their team.
Bees like that.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's true.
But just to my fellow wrestling fans, especially my fellow black wrestling fans, there are things to be upset about. There are things to, point out, to criticize. I get that. But when it comes to this situation, in all honesty, it's not as big of a deal as you're making it out to be. And by continuing to make it out to be such a big deal, you are only clowning yourselves.
Look, I have a solution to this. I've been saying this for a while. I think if you want to see black male superstars pushed on the main roster, well, yeah, pushed. See them have a spot on a card, right? Then, like I said, you guys need to like Montez Ford, D'Angelo Hawkins split and see where that'll lead you to. That's all you have to do.
Maybe it'll happen soon enough.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like, bro, like, but like Montez Ford does. Oh, I don't want it to. Like, no, if you can, you have to. You can't be a tag team for. You can't be like that, dude. Look at the other tag teams. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
Even the Usos eventually split up. I never thought they would split up in a million years, and even they eventually split up.
And look,
But
I'm not saying all tag teams split up and they name like like they're better off single or whatever. Look at the Dudley Boys. I mean they split up, but we knew that yeah they're better as a tag team, right?
much better as a tag team.
Yeah, it happens. Look at the APA. Good God, JBL. And Undertaker himself said, like, who's like the most underrated wrestler he'd ever been in a ring with? He said JBL of
Which
all
is
people. And I applaud his take, and I actually like good take on that because he is very underrated. He was a tag team. Well, I mean, he was singles just for a tiny bit though, but he was mostly tag team early on in his career. And when they split him up and they did the whole JBL character thing, that was like, oh my god! And then we saw how that happened. So dude, I think Montez Ford really. I think going into next year, he really needs to like make that leap of faith.
who knows? Maybe he'll eliminate Angelo Dawkins from the Royal Rumble.
Ah, right,
All right, but we'll see
right.
what happens with that. But I think we've kind of said what we needed to say today. So we have SmackDown tonight. So we'll see Kevin Owens' explanation, and we'll see where they're going to go with this whole Rock situation, and also Roman and Cody. And actually, SmackDown's going to be at Barclays Center in 2 weeks.
Oh, it is. Are you going?
Probably not. I might save it for Saturday night's main event, possibly. But
Ah,
also, AEW Full Gear is coming to Jersey in November, the Prudential Center in Newark.
ah.
Yeah, a lot of major shows coming out here. But yes, stay tuned to us for all of your wrestling news, controversy, storylines, everything in between. My boy John Random and Conscious Kurt got you on lock. We will break it all down for you.
Follow us on the social medias, ladies and gentlemen. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. We need all the support you need, and then feel free to leave a comment, email us, and just let us know how we're doing on this show.
Yes,
So
holler at us, talk to us. We'd love to debate with you in a healthy way about this crazy world in wrestling. But until next time, for John Randall, this is Conscious Kurt with another edition of Clash of the Champions. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And remember, don't be an asshole in real life or social media, because that shit is for the birds.
and ladies and gentlemen, always remember, stay safe, stay blessed, and always take care.